Yeah, everybody, thanks for stopping by. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a mix mash of, or a mishmash. It's one of those. Anyway, it's going to be a variety of content, but the main basis of the video is going to be talking about the Kaon rear shelf that I've got. You can see an install video up there, and we're going to have a look at getting the road chef mounted up onto the bottom of the Kaon rack. Now, that was my main motivation for getting the Kaon rack, was to have somewhere to be able to mount this. The not so good news is that the holes that are in the Kaon rack don't line up with the brackets that come with the road chef, and I'm assuming that has to be the same for the travel buddy as well. I'm not really sure, and obviously the bigger sizes, who knows, maybe somebody could put that down in the comments. I found the original brackets that come with the road chef, and I've tried to mount it up, and it just doesn't line up with any of the holes, so which means we're going to have to drill some additional holes, which I'm a little bit disappointed in. I know that Kaon does sell additional brackets, and when I was interacting with them, they said, look, we've got this, we've seen the review, you mentioned that you were going to mount the road chef, we have this additional brackets which is supposedly more solid than the ones that actually come with the road chef and the travel buddy, again, I would assume. That being said, I think the ones that come with them as standard, that are provided with them when you buy them, are probably going to be more than sufficient, and that's what we're going to go with. So what we're going to do today is just going to have to re-pull out this rack, and we're going to screw some holes in it. We're going to mount up the road chef, and we're going to get that done. I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you a little bit of feedback on the road chef and what I thought of it thus far, and show you how I've used it. At the end of the video, we're going to go through some products that I've been sent out that I've got for review. To do really soon, I hope. Probably the same as a lot of you, we are currently in lockdown here because COVID Delta strain is kicking off locally, and certainly in some of the local suburbs. So stay at home, so here's some opportunity for me to get some stuff done. And I know that when I did stuff for the last COVID stuff, I know people were appreciative because they're staying at home and they're looking for things to do. So we'll knock out a few videos and we'll get that done. Now, before we do that, one thing I just want to touch on is, in the last 2 weeks ago, my father passed, and it's a bit of a hard time at the moment. Look, some of my viewers know me personally and would have known my father, and a lot of you would have seen Dad pop up in the occasional video. You didn't always see him, but quite often Dad was in the background, you know, giving me a few pointers, having a chat with me, and just keeping me company while I was going through these things. So miss you, Dad, love you, Dad. And that's enough of that. So anyway, let's get into the video. Let's get this rack out, and we'll get this road chef mounted up. Just want to give you a quick look at how I'm actually using the rack itself. You'll see up the top here, I've got a number of soft items. I've avoided putting any hard items into this. So the reason I only have soft stuff up here is this lip at the back. This lip at the back is fairly small, and sometimes what you find is when you accelerate, if you've got stuff up there that's a bit more solid or got a bit of weight to it, it just flops out the back. So what would be nice, Kaon, if you're watching, would be to have some sort of drop down door or something that you could just flip up and lock in place, and that would hold that there. You've got the fence at the front, stops anything going forwards, but unfortunately it doesn't stop anything coming back. Something like this, and this is just an inflatable pillow. What you'll find is it will move, it'll turn, it'll eventually end up on that sort of orientation, and she'll just roll out the back, and it all ends up on the floor at the back of the car. A number of people have asked me about obstruction to viewing, and I can tell you that it doesn't bother me at all. You can see it in your rear view mirror, but luckily it is just on that height where you can see it, but it doesn't obstruct your viewing. See, I've got some bungee straps here, and that's what I've got going right across the top from one side to hold all of this stuff down, to stop it from shifting. Even having these just hanging here, you can see how close they are to the bottom of that. Even that is now in my eye line. So they really have done a good job as far as getting that just to the right height to not to be in your way. Keeping in mind I'm short, so if you're a little bit taller than me, as most are, this is starting to cut it fine. But I think they've done a pretty good job, keeping in mind that when I set it up, I put it in its lowest position and its furthest forward position. I know after saying all that, a whole heap of you are saying, well, hang on, if you're going to hang this down, that's going to be in your eye line. But I'm going to put it right over this side, so it's going to be behind the driver's seat. So my view is not going to be obstructed through the centre of the vehicle, or basically where you normally see out of the rear view mirror. Now, I don't know whether you're ready for a life lesson while I'm pulling this down, and you may not want to listen to it, so feel free to skip forward. But with the old boy passing a few weeks ago and COVID sort of knocking on our door, I was pissed off that we were only able to get a few people to his funeral. It would have been a massive funeral. I think we would have had over 150 people there. I think we would have filled the site that we had available to us. But unfortunately, because we couldn't have family coming from Melbourne or Queensland, and even sort of just down the road, we were limited to the amount of people that could come, and so family, etc., missed out. And I was pretty pissed off about this, and still are on some level. But 2 days later, we went into full lockdown. Now, had that happened before the funeral or 2 days earlier, we would have been restricted to 10 people. So I guess the life lesson here is, even when you think things are pretty shit, and things were pretty shit, burying your best mate basically, and your dad, things couldn't be worse. Things can always be worse. So, we were limited to how many people we could have brought there, but if we were limited to 10, so many of the family wouldn't have got to say goodbye to that. So in retrospect, as shitty as those things were on the day, I've now become grateful that we actually got to have so many people there. Anyway, there you go. Right, you head around the back and I'll meet you there in a sec. I'll put all this together and we'll get these holes drilled. Okay, so here's our Kaon rack. With your brackets, as far as your travel buddies or your road chefs or whatever go, they're just like a Z bracket, I suppose, if you want. They've got a couple little hooks and then a hole just for drilling in. And you can mount them from the bottom, like that, or you can mount them from the top, like that. And that's just, there's not much to them. They're fairly thin metal, probably only a few mil, maybe not even. And but that's how they work. So they're pretty straightforward. You get supplied 2 of those when you buy these. So hopefully you'll see in here you've got holes on all of these cross braces. But unfortunately what happens, so we stick these in and we line up, say, with that hole there. You'll see we've got that lined up with that hole there, and that's lining up with this vertical piece. If we come around to the other side, you'll see we're more or less in the middle. We're not lined up at all. Bring it over, like I've tried a heap of them, so if we bring it over, and let's say we line it up with those holes, put a little bracket in, where's the hole? Yeah, that's what she said. Just there, so that one's now lined up with a hole. And if we go onto this side, hopefully you can see we're well and truly out of alignments. What we can do is drill a hole, I think, in one of these type pieces. You can see we're going to line up with these ones here, and then we can just drill a hole in this piece here, and we should be good to go. That's still going to have the door be proud, which is good. So I think that's what we're going to go with. So that's what we've got. That's how she looks. From a wiring perspective, I'm just going to go up and over the top there. I might consider hard wiring this, but right now I've got a plug that sits down here from the auxiliary stuff. That's probably just going to be the place for it, and it's going to be on a switch. Now, the one thing that does bother me, and I've seen this with both of them, is this little light has gone here. Which means I need to go down to J-Car and get a little LED for it and drill this front panel off, take it off and swap it out, and we'll do a how-to video, but there's other ones on YouTube, but we'll do a video on that. So consequently, when I turn this on, oh, there we go, it looks like it's just a loose connection, so you can see that's actually come on. I think that looks a cracker. It's up there, it's out of the way. It's easy to access. Now I've been really happy with it as far as cooking, and you'll see that I've used this to cook a number of different things. And there's certainly Facebook pages if you want to go and have a look at the different things. There's I think it's a Travel Buddy Facebook page. I'll put the link up down in the description below or on the page, with all these weird and wonderful things that people cook in their Travel Buddies. So it's basically in their Travel Buddies or their road chefs. So it is literally a little oven, and anything that you can do in an oven within reason, you can do in this, given the appropriate amount of time. Things that I like, obviously, just the ability to have it on while I'm driving, and then pull up to site and or pull up to where I'm going camping or whatever, and have a hot meal. I quite often use this just to reheat stuff. So when I go camping, I like to take, I'll get a Chinese or something for lunch, and I'll buy an extra order. And then I'll just throw that in here and heat that up, and then I've got like a nice hot Chinese when I arrive to camp. Certainly if I'm going camping at night on my own, I love doing that. I like doing desserts and things like that. You can cook sausages in here. You can do pretty much anything you want. The reason I like the Road Chef again was it come with a latch already installed. It has the insulated front door. It was a little bit cheaper than the Aussie Travel Buddy, and it was available when I got around to going to buy one. I think it was only about $20 difference. But the biggest thing was it was available, and it had the lock, and it had the insulated door, which you don't get on the Travel Buddy. That being said, I think they have upgraded that. I think you get the insulated door. I'm not sure whether you've got to get the latch now yourself. The negatives of the little 12-volt ovens are rattles. Now, I absolutely detest rattles in my four-wheel drives, and when you're driving along, and if you don't have anything in this, you are going to hear these little racks rattling and bouncing around and causing all sorts of a racket. Example. So I'm not sure whether you can hear it over the normal rattles, but at the moment I've just got the oven preheating. While I'm driving on just normal forestry roads, it rattles like a bastard. Now that's kind of my fault, because I've got the extra tray in there, and that's not a proper fit for the actual oven itself. Depending on how you've got it set up and what you've got in it. I hate rattles in my car, but there you go. But these racks are very good, and certainly very handy. But what I tend to do is just to have them both on the bottom, and just maximise that space rather than having them set up like shelves like this. If I can give you one piece of advice, saw that they had trays for the Travel Buddy. There's a guy up in Queensland, I think. Again, I'll put some links down in the description as to where you can get trays and all that sort of stuff and accessories for these. I was avoiding spending the $40 odd like it was the plague for buying the proper tray for it. And one of my mates said, "You're an idiot, you should just go and buy the proper tray." So that being said, I went out to Woolies and I thought, nah, I'll be buggered. I'm going out and I'm buying just different trays that I can find on the shelf. I can find something to fit. So I went out and bought these. This is a 19 centimetre square cake pan, and it does fit in there nicely. But as I said, I hate rattles. And this thing is obviously moving around while you're driving and rattling. What I really wanted was to be able to fit two in there, but these are too deep to fit in. I also thought, well, I'll grab these ones, thinking that they would fit in two like that, because I just wanted some separation with my food, but unfortunately they don't fit in. They do fit in on their own like that, and that's not a bad fit side to side, but depth-wise, sorry about the noise, these are just going to keep sliding around. A lot of people love these silver trays, so you can go out and just buy these as a set for a few bucks from Woolworths, Coles or something like that, and they tend to do pre-cooked meals. Throw them in these, get the ones with the little lids that you can put on them, and then when you're going camping, whatever, pull it out of your fridge, stick it in here, cook it up, and you've got a sort of pre-cooked meal ready to go. If you're smarter than me, what you're going to do is just plump for the 40 bucks straight up. Now these are only $4 or $5 each, but there's probably about 20 bucks worth of trays there. If I had gone out and just bought the proper one, you can see it fits in there nicely. Doesn't rattle as much as the other ones. It does rattle a little bit. Realistically, it's just a perfect fit. I believe you can get the smaller trays as well. It will sit in these, and you can actually separate your food, so you can do your veggies and your meat or something like that. But the way I typically do it is put both of your little wire trays underneath and then throw this in. That holds it and stops it from vibrating as much. Roadrunner offroad.com.au. There's a few mobs that do these, but that was where I picked this one up. I think it was a little bit cheaper, and again, it's just, other than being hot, you can see it is all just folded and welded stainless steel. So it's a real nice bit of kit. It's a real solidly made. It's a lot thicker than some of the stuff that I got there from Woolies, but it's a real solid piece of kit, and it's bloody hot, and it needs a clean. Anyway, one other thing I'm going to list as a con is this timer here. It does only go up to 2 hours, which is good, but the Travel Buddy allows you just to switch it on and leave it on. So at some point, if that light goes again, what I'm going to do while I've got that separated is put a little switch in here and have it off, on, or on the timer, but we'll worry about that later on. I'm not going to pull it apart just to do that, but once we've got to do that light, we'll get around to doing that. Other negative, that if you get one of these and it's going to annoy the living piss out of you, is that when you're cooking in the car and you get out of the car and you go and do something, and then you come back and your car smells like a bakery and you're gonna be starving. You're gonna go, oh, I just want to go and crack into the food, but you can't. You got to wait for it to cook. A wonderful thing, and it's a horrible thing. It's nothing nice than jumping back in the car and just smelling that food cooking over the back, depending on what you're cooking. So keep that in mind, that if you're cooking something that's maybe garlicky or chili or something like that, and you've got it in here, your whole car is going to end up smelling like that. That's basically the little Road Chef 12-volt oven. So combine that with the 300 odd amps of lithium battery that I've got there. That's going to get its 13 point whatever volts. I've got more than enough battery there to be cooking and using that for many hours without worrying about the battery. I've obviously got the solar on the top, so I am as sweet as a mother when it comes to cooking. Obviously we've got the induction cooker that works here as well. My cooking space here with the fold down table. I've got my Road Chef. I'm gonna still get the induction cooker fixed into here, so this is going to be all cooking. The only thing is an issue is I've got the fridge around the side. That's not too much of an issue. What I'm probably going to do is that little brass monkey fridge that I've got, review up there, that's probably going to get mounted in here, and I'll keep the food here, drinks in the fridge, the drawer fridge around the corner, and everything that I need is just going to be right here. This is going to be like a permanent setup. This is always going to be in the car. Really loving the table. All I need to do is for COVID to piss off, so I can get more use out of this, and to get my intercooler hoses. Now, things coming up on the channel. I need to get out and spend some time with the little Blue Eddy. Just use it in situ, get it out, take it camping. I've got a heap of ideas of things that I want to do with that. I just need to get out and do it. I need to be able to go camping. I need to go and see mates. I need to take it with me to a few different places and just put it through its paces. But thus far, I've been really happy with it. Something else that has been sent out to me recently from Oxbeam is these little switch panels. Now, they sent me an email and said, look, we've got a few different things coming out, some new products to market. Would you like to have a look at some stuff and do some reviews? We've dealt with you in the past. This is really cool. I think a lot of you have probably seen the S-Pods, which is basically a switch panel that you have inside the car. You run one wire from inside the car out to the control box, which has a whole bunch of relays and fuses and stuff in it. They're predominantly made for switching lights and all that sort of stuff external to the car. This is Oxbeam's version of that. Now, I think if you have a look on eBay and Amazon and stuff like that, I think you might see this marketed by a number of different people, but Oxbeam have got a pretty good name from that perspective, and I think they do pretty good after sales service, so it's certainly worth having a look at them. Just to give you an idea of what we've got is basically there's this little switch panel. Like I said, this has this one wire, so what you would do is you can number these, or you can label these. You get some labels in the box. You stick your different labels on. There's 8 different switches. You can get these in a 6 as well. I think there's a 4, 6 and an 8. I asked for the 8. You can get them with a green or a blue background colour. I asked for the blue one, and it does have a B on the back, so I'm assuming that's blue. You mount this anywhere you like. run the one wire out through your firewall, which means you're not running all these power cables and switches and all this stuff to get through to your dash. You take that one wire, you plug it into here. You obviously need to supply this with power. Now you also need to supply it with a feed for all the different relays. So you've got a positive terminal and a negative terminal. Stick that somewhere near your battery. And then what you've got is basically bus bars, which are all fused, and under here you've actually got some switching relays as well. What you basically do is anything that you connect to this can be switched remotely from this switch panel. Now, just bloody brilliant. I've seen a number of people doing installs in these. They've obviously sent these out to a few different YouTubers. But what's been funny is that I've seen people install this in the cab and then also mount this in the car and then run all their wires out to their lights or whatever it is they want to switch on and off. They're missing the whole point. They're missing the premise of this concept. One wire from this to this, and then all of your wiring stays outside the cab. You're not running stuff in and out of the firewall all over the place. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with it at this point. What I am considering though is possibly mounting this on the back of the Kaon rack, so you get a nice little bracket that comes with it. So I already have the switch panel over in the corner there, which I use for all my external lights, etc. But I reckon this would look bloody brilliant mounted somewhere up here on the back of the Kaon rack, and then I could switch all my lights on. We could do the travel buddy. Nice, they also supply you with decent sized cable. What we've got is we've got 230 amp, 220, 210s and 2.5s. Even though that adds up to 130 amps, the maximum current draw at any one time for the entire system is 60. So it is rated at 60, so we're not going to be pushing it that far anyway. Ultimately, these are really designed for doing LED lights and all that sort of stuff, so fairly low draw. If I decide I want to switch to the little Road Chef over here, it's going to be pulling about 10, no more than 15 amps. We can certainly run it off this. So that's going to be coming up soon. So if you've got suggestions on what you want to see me do with this, I'd really like to do something different. I've already got all the lights hooked up at the front, and as you see when I did those fog lights, I already had the factory switches. I don't want to go pulling factory switches and whatever just to add this in, which is why I think you're going to see me add this over the back. I really want to try and utilize this as it's designed, and I want to use the remote functionality of this switch panel to show you how it works basically and what you can do with it. So what we might do is use this off our lithium battery setup over the back. I might grab some extra lights, put them on the outside. What we might be able to do is maybe mount this over the back here somewhere like that and use this predominantly for our camp setup. What I could then do is run this wire from here through the back of the door in with our lithiums and just have that remote switch work like that. I don't know. Anyway, so if you've got any ideas how you'd like me to use this, stick something in the comments below. But it's the Oxbeam Ox Power Control, modified dedicated controller. I've got another Australian guy who Newts is called. Apparently he's well known. I'd not heard the name before. Newts is sending me out a scrunnel funnel, which is a funnel that screws into the cap of your filler. And then obviously you can just fill that without having to hold it up. So I think they're reasonably cheap, but he's sending me one of those out. Again, Australian guy, more than happy to support the Australian products and try and get their name out there. And it looks like a decent product, and he's working on something else. There was something else that I suggested to him, and I really hope he gets around to that, because that'd be bloody awesome. Talk about this stuff later on. Again, look, apologies to everybody. I've been getting lots of comments and stuff like that. I know I haven't been doing a lot, and I haven't been getting back to your comments as quickly as I would like. Like I said, I've had a little bit going on the last so many weeks, but the stuff's been building up. We're in lockdown. We need to start knocking out a few videos, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, guys.